like to bring your attention to a few announcements in our bulletin this morning. The students of Sally and Willie will be presenting their spring recital here tonight at 7 o'clock, and all are welcome. Next week, we are celebrating Pentecost, so you're invited to wear bright clothing and join us for the Sacrament of Holy Communion. And Vacation Bible School this year is July 10th to 14th. We can always use extra help. Some adult volunteers would be wonderful as blanket leaders, which is taking the kids around to their different groups. We will also be posting very soon a list of craft supplies or food supplies that might be needed. So we will have that for you in the next little bit. And a reminder that June 11th, we are having a family picnic. This is going to be held at 1 o'clock at Sylvia's brother's house, which is in Elmwood. We do have directions for you. There will be wagon rides pulled by the horses and a pool if it's warm enough to swim. And if by chance it's not a lovely day for a picnic, we will meet here. It's bring your own picnic lunch. We'll meet here and have a picnic here in the hall and have some activities so that we can still celebrate that day. And we have some announcements. Catherine?
The trunk sale's this Saturday morning, this next coming up June 3rd. And I was asked a lot last week that there are new people in the congregation, and the people that were here aren't here this morning for me to go through it. But years ago, Vincent Pennebaker brought to the stewardship team an idea of a trunk sale, where you bring your treasures in your trunk and you sell out of your trunk, and then whatever's left over, the junk goes back home with you. So we need buyers, we need sellers, we need people to bring books, we need people to bring plants, and we need people to come and buy as well, and to bake. So setup is Friday night at 7. Lynn and I'll be here for 7 a.m. on Sunday or Saturday morning, and doors open at 8, but there's usually half the day's gone before 8 o'clock in the morning because they're waiting out in the parking lot for us. So there's still room to sign up if you're interested. You don't have to bring a whole trunk load of goodies, but you know, little bits will make a big difference in reaching that $1,100. So I thank you very much. I'm impressed with how many have already signed up. Thank you.
Good morning. So just a reminder, 2 weeks until the fish fry. We need your support and your help. If you haven't signed the sheet on the kitchen door, please look at it. We need young people to help clear tables that night. So any of you who are available, please just see if you can help out. And selling tickets is always important too. I also want to talk about the Day of Action. It's advertised in the bulletin, but I thought I should say a few words about it. It's here at Grace United Church on Tuesday, June the 6th. I want to just give some background information. We at Grace United feel we have a healthy and stable church. But that is not the case in many churches of Bruce Presbytery. There are at least 8 churches in our presbytery without a minister, and there are some churches with a minister and they can't afford to pay for them. We were presented with this at a meeting a few weeks ago, and it is a dire situation. Now, we do care, and we do want to support the congregations around us, and we want the United Church to carry on in our community. Even if it's not affecting us now, it is affecting our neighbors. So we decided that there would be a day of action here at Grace United Church on June 6th from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. Lunch is provided. This day is for all pastors, for all board members, for presbytery reps, and anybody in the congregation who really wants to have a voice in the future of the churches around us. This day will be to get the problems out on the table, to discuss, to plan, to look ahead. I really hope some of you will come. I suppose you wouldn't have to stay all day from 10 to 4, but I think once you get here, maybe you'd be interested in just what is going on. Change is in the wind. There's no doubt about it. Now, I was at Hamilton Conference annual meeting yesterday in Port Elgin. I was at the ordination service for new ministers, and everything is powerful and positive and moving ahead, and the church does so much work. But honestly, the rural churches in this area are in trouble. So, if you could come at all on June 6th, all you have to do is register. I have a sheet on the kitchen door, but I see all the information is in the bulletin, how you could register and just say you're coming. So I was thinking about it, and I thought, wind is in the air, changes are in the wind, and we just have to ask ourselves, how can we bend and move with the wind but not get broken? So, if you're interested at all, come and support that day. Thank you.
Getting this right. There we go. I just have a few announcements today. One, we have had two people who, we have room now on our bus trip to the Grand River Cruise and the Blazing Fiddle Show. We have 2 spots available. So if anyone is interested and thinking they might like to go, it's on Wednesday, June the 7th. And it should be a fabulous day. I think people who have been before have said it's a really great little trip. So there's that available. We also have today our meeting of the Secret Pen Pals after church. So it'll be at about 11:45. It'll give me a little bit of time in between church and getting there, but it'll be in the back room. And I think I have one other. Nifty 90s. Anybody who's 90 and I have not contacted you, please see me after church. We're having a little get-together on Wednesday. It's just an out for coffee, and we're arranging transportation, and it's just a time to get together and celebrate being 90, in your 90s. So if I have missed anyone, I apologize, but please see me or let me know that of someone you know who is 90 that might be interested in coming.
I'm the last one. So we are having a photo directory being produced, and the dates for that photo directory are June the 19th to the 24th. So phoning for this directory will begin this week. To help in this effort, would you please come to the CE Hall after worship today to be some of the first to sign up for your preferred time to come and get your photo taken. We'd like everyone to be in the book because it's a great help for McCall, and it's a great help for the rest of us as well. So Vera is going to be in the CE Hall this morning with all the sheets, and so please make your way out there, and it will save the phoners quite a bit of phoning. So thank you.
Does anyone else have any announcements? Okay, I think we covered everything. Gracious God, we pray for your blessing on the church in this place. Here may the faithful find salvation and the careless be awakened. Here may the doubting find courage and the anxious be calmed. Here may the tempted find help and the sorrowful be comforted. Here may the weary find rest and the strong be renewed. Here may the aged find consolation and the young be inspired. In Jesus the Christ, amen. I wanted to share a quick note about many of the photos in today's PowerPoint presentation. These pictures, most of them, have been taken by Larissa or Jillian. They are up-and-coming photographers with a great love of nature, and God's creation and being stewards for the earth is part of our theme this morning. I chose them to perhaps highlight some of the sacredness that we find in nature, and I've noticed that Laurel always chooses such beautiful and moving pictures for our services. And I thought that just for today, to see pictures that have been taken by eyes that you've seen here in areas that you've perhaps visited around us here would be just meaningful. I would like to invite Ainsley to come and light the Christ candle. God has given us this beautiful earth, all that grows and lives upon it. God has given us breath to live and spirit to sing, this life we are called to live.
We come as pilgrim people, searching for ways to live out our faith.
God has gathered us into a community of care and worship. Oh, I missed that. Sorry. I missed a song. We're going to do the Inchwat, God of all the world. We're going to sing 2 songs in a row now. An opening prayer which is taken from native cultures. So we're going to start facing the east, which I've been told is this way. From the east, the direction of the rising sun, we receive peace and light and wisdom and knowledge. We are grateful for these gifts, O God. Facing the south, from the south comes warmth, guidance, and the beginning and end of life. We are grateful for these gifts, O God. Facing the west. From the west comes the rain, purifying waters to sustain all living things. We are grateful for these gifts, O God. Facing the north, from the north comes the cold and mighty wind, the white snows giving us strength and endurance. We are grateful for these gifts, O God. Facing upwards, from the heavens we receive darkness and light, the air of your breath, and messages from your winged creatures. We are grateful for these gifts, O God. And facing downwards, from the earth we come, and to the earth we will return. We are grateful for your creation, Mother Earth, O God.
In the valley flows a river, gentle waters from the Lord, and those who stop and drink there will never thirst for more. In the valley flows a river, cooling stream that has no end. In its grace we find forgiveness, cleansing fountains for our sins. From the mountain springs it cometh, to the desert, to the plains, bringing life to all it touches, bringing peace where there is pain. In the valley there is comfort, where the peaceful waters flow, and all who pause and pray there will find rest for their souls. In the valley flows a river, fed by heaven's gentle rain, and all who stop and drink there will never thirst again. And all who stop and drink there will never thirst again.
I'd like to invite the young and the young at heart to come forward. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite stories. And I have the photos from the book on the screen so everyone can follow along. Come forward. Come closer. Come closer so you can see. The story is called Old Turtle. How many of you have seen a turtle? Yeah? You've seen turtles?
But we couldn't go near because he was very angry because we couldn't find him. Yeah,
Okay.
He's dead.
Well, this is a different turtle. Once, long, long ago, yet somehow not so very long, when all the animals and all the rocks and winds and waters and trees and birds and fish and all the beings of the world could speak and understand one another, there began an argument. It began softly at first, quiet as the first breeze that whispered, "He is a wind who is never still." Quiet as the stone that answered, "He is a great rock that never moves." Gentle as the mountain that rumbled, "God is a snowy peak high above the clouds." And the fish in the ocean that answered, "God is a swimmer in the dark blue depths of the sea." "No," said the star, "God is a twinkling and a shining far, far away." "No," replied the ant, "God is a sound and a smell and a feeling who is very, very close." "God," insisted the antelope, "is a runner, swift and free, who loves to leap and race with the wind." "She is a great tree," murmured the willow, "a part of the world, always growing and always giving." "You are wrong," argued the island. "God is separate and apart." "God is like the shining sun, far above all things," added the blue sky. "No, he is a river who flows through the very heart of things," thundered the waterfall. "She is a hunter," roared the lion. "God is gentle," chirped the robin. "He is powerful," growled the bear. And the argument grew louder and louder and louder until, "Stop." A new voice spoke. It rumbled loudly like thunder, and it whispered softly like butterfly sneezes. The voice seemed to come from, it seemed to come from Old Turtle. Old Turtle hardly ever said anything, and certainly never argued about God. But now Old Turtle began to speak. "God is indeed deep," she said to the fish in the sea, "and much higher than high," she told the mountains. "He is swift and free as the wind, and still and solid as a great rock," she said to the breezes and the stones. "She is the life of the world," Turtle said to the willow, "always close by, yet beyond the farthest twinkling light," she told the ant and the star. "God is gentle and powerful and above all things and within all things. God is all that we dream of and all that we seek," said Old Turtle, "and all that we come from and all that we find, God is." Old Turtle had never said so much before. All the beings of the world were surprised and became very quiet. But Old Turtle had one more thing to say. "There will soon be a new family of beings in the world," she said, "and they will be strange and wonderful. They will be reminders of all that God is. They will come in many different colors and shapes, with different faces and different ways of speaking. Their thoughts will soar to the stars, and their feet will walk the earth. They will possess many powers. They will be strong yet tender, a message of love from God to the earth, and a prayer from the earth back to God." And the people came. But the people forgot. They forgot that they were a message of love and a prayer from the earth, and they began to argue about who knew God and who did not, and where God was and where God was not, and whether God was or was not. And the people misused their powers and hurt one another, and they hurt the earth, until finally even the forests began to die. And the rivers and the oceans and the plants and the animals and the earth itself. But the people could not remember who they were or where God was, until one day there came a voice like the growling of thunder, but as soft as butterfly sneezes. "Please stop." The voice seemed to come from the mountain who rumbled, "Sometimes I see God swimming in the dark blue depths of the sea." And from the ocean who sighed, "He is often among the snow-capped peaks reflecting the sun." From the stone who said, "I sometimes feel her breath as she blows by." And from the breeze who whispered, I feel his presence as I dance among the rocks. And the star declared, God is very close. And the island added, his love touches everything. And after a long, lonesome, and scary time, the people listened and began to hear and to see God in one another and in the beauty of all the earth. An old turtle smiled, and so did God. Do you like that story? Can we say a prayer? Dear God, please help to remind us of the beauty of your earth, that if we take care of your earth will take care of us. Amen. We can go off to Sunday school.
Our gifts for mission and service support intercultural programs in the United Church of Canada. May is Asian Heritage Month. The month provides a continuing opportunity to prayerfully reflect on the contributions of Asian Canadians to our church and Canadian society, and to honor and celebrate this important aspect of Canadian history. In church and society, Asian cultures and traditions are broad and diverse, comprising many language groups, cultural traditions, histories, and ways of expressing faith. Asian Canadians have many ways of being. In the United Church, there are Chinese Cantonese, Chinese Mandarin, Korean, Tagalog, and Tamil-speaking congregations. All of these expressions of our intercultural church. One way the United Church seeks to honor Asian Heritage Month is through worship, and each year, new resources for worship are created to lift up different aspects of Asian heritage. Asian Heritage Month is not limited to the contributions of Asians in Canada. The United Church has strong ties to mission and service partners throughout Asia who are addressing human rights abuses wherever they occur as part of building a world of justice for all. Critical issues for the region include peace building and upholding the rights of communities to healthy environments in the context of resource extraction projects such as mining. We sing thanksgiving that mission and service supports our intercultural journey. If mission and service is already a regular part of your giving, thank you so much. If you have not given for mission and service, please join me in making mission and service a regular part of your life of faith. In all our mission and service giving, with a willing heart, we sing thanksgiving to God. Our readings today come from Psalm 104. You cause the grass to grow for the cattle and plants for people to use, to bring forth food from the earth and wine to gladden the human heart, oil to make the face shine, and bread to strengthen the human heart. The trees of the Lord are watered abundantly, the cedars of Lebanon that he planted. In them the birds build their nests. The stork has its home in the fir trees. The high mountains are for the wild goats. The rocks are a refuge for the conies. You have made the moon to mark the seasons. The sun knows its time for setting. You make darkness, and it is night, when all the animals of the forest come creeping out. The young lions roar for the prey, seeking their food from God. O Lord, how manifold are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Yonder is the sea, great and wide. Creeping things innumerable are there. Living things, both small and great. There go the ships and Leviathan that you formed to sport in it. These all look to you to give them their food in due season. When you give to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. When you take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. When you send forth your Spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the ground.
As many of you know, our family made the choice 5 years ago to move from city to country, from a life of busyness to a quieter, simpler life immersed in nature. The move was entirely inspired by our children, and it has changed us in so many ways. It has fostered character in them that we could never have imagined. We have had experiences that we would never have had in a big city. We realize as we go about our day-to-day lives that we have become stewards of the earth, starting with our own small piece of it. Our lifestyle includes homeschooling, which brings with it adventures and excursions that do not happen in a traditional school setting. As you can see, this was a typical day of school. Our lifestyle also includes tending to animals and our property as we move to create sacred gardens and hopefully a place where others will visit to experience what we have created. Our life is a whirlwind of activity, and yet we are often told how busy we are, as if that is an unfortunate thing. I have reflected on this a lot, feeling somewhat like our move to a simpler life is not quite what we achieved. These reflections have led me to discover something very important. When others tell me how busy we are, I always respond with, it's all good stuff. It's all stuff we want to be doing. I have discovered that our lives are full, not busy. We have got more on the go than ever. City life doesn't even compare. However, it's different. Our lives are full of things that we love to do, that we want to do. With a love for nature and the importance of taking care of God's creations, we now grow as much of our own food as we can, getting fresh eggs from our chickens. And this year, we have taken gardening one step further and combined it with the sacredness of a labyrinth. A labyrinth is an ancient walking path of prayer and meditations, and our gardens are now the lines that make up a 55 by 80-foot garden labyrinth. As Larissa and I studied to become herbalists, we have found a deep and spiritual connection to the plants of this earth. Plants that at some point in time, some gardener decided which would be weeds and which would be plants worthy of a garden, which would be pulled out and destroyed, and may possibly have the ability to heal and cure a variety of ailments. As stewards of our small piece of earth, we are planting our garden labyrinth with medicinal flowers, herbs, and vegetables, not to make money and not to have prize gardens, but because we feel a deep calling to tend to the sacredness of God's creations. I once read, for every disease we know, God gave a plant to grow. We aim to learn as much about those plants as we can. Over the past 5 years, immersed in nature, we have had a lot of firsts. The first time we have raised an animal from the moment of birth, and the first time we've lost an animal. The first time we have planted and grown our own food. There have been many ups and downs along the way. It has been frustrating and a little bit crazy, but would I trade it for our previous life in the busy city? No way. We have learned that while we may have very little by way of bank account measure, we can have it all, because it is the all that we have chosen for ourselves. As we have learned to care for and immerse ourselves in God's natural world, we have lived our lives with fulfillment. So while many may see us as busy, what they don't see is that we spend 75% of our time at home. And while we're there, we're together. We are learning together, perhaps snuggled up on the couch, doing lessons, baking together in the kitchen, or working together on outdoor projects for the betterment of our animals or our landscape and its ability to provide for us. To be a steward of the earth does not necessarily require the lifestyle change that we made. This is just the example that I'm sharing with you. But what does it mean to be a faithful steward of God's creation? In the reference in Genesis 2, when God placed the human creature in the garden to till and to keep it, we are given the authority and the responsibility to till the earth in order to make it productive and flourishing. But are we to till all of it? What about our obligation to keep it? God said to till and to keep it. This means sustain it, conserve it, keep it, by protecting its God-created life forms and systems, and to know when to stop tilling it. When God looked upon all of creation, water, earth, winged and four-footed creatures, and said, "It is good," perhaps we are invited to see more clearly the sacredness of creation and its creatures by looking carefully and prayerfully at rivers, oceans, forests, beasts, and landscapes, by looking carefully, more reverently at the earth and one another. We will see their goodness, the innate beauty and worth of each and all, and then we can learn from them. Motivated by this perception, we might accept our relationship to earth and its life as the work of stewardship. We have found nature to be our greatest teacher. It has shown us the complexity of life and the beauty of it, of patience and wisdom. It can be cruel and kind, mysterious and bountiful. In our previous lifestyle, most of our time we were preoccupied, our time constantly claimed by daily demands. It was only when we retreated into nature to hike or to camp that we saw the sacred within it. And it was this longing that led us to where we are, to live full lives doing the things most sacred to us. We had to listen to that call, and we had to take risks, and we had to think out of the box. And we did take a risk. With no jobs lined up and no savings in the bank, only a dream of simpler living closer to nature that brought us here. One evening during our first autumn, this incredible double rainbow came over our pond. This photo has become a trademark of our move and one of the many validations of a choice well made. God said to Noah and his sons, "I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth." Many moments have become this covenant for us. Where can you begin to see the sacred in and around you? How are you a gardener for God's earth? Whether through time in nature, recycling and green practices, quiet reflection, moments spent with a precious animal, walking a quiet path, or staring up at the stars at night, follow where it leads and join others who are ready to join the growing community of stewards of the earth. There are more and more organizations and groups now forming to make a change as we realize the danger that we've put this beautiful planet in. And I'm not standing here to be an activist, but I am praying endlessly for everyone to find the sacredness within nature and the living of a life that is full rather than busy. How do the two go together? We are here for a short time, perhaps 100 years if we are very lucky. There is no time to feel torn by what you do day to day. If you yearn to live life differently, do it. If we can, anybody can. We struggle often. We don't long for material possessions, but we fill our time with memory-making adventures, learning opportunities, and yes, we are sometimes too busy for certain things, but it is because we are living fully, embracing what we need from life, which is often just time at home together. For us, God's creation is the provider of a full life, being able to see the stars that didn't exist in the city. One of our visitors couldn't believe that she actually saw the Milky Way over our backyard, never realizing that this was something that could be seen. I ask you, is your life busy, or is it full? Is it filled with things you love to do, people you enjoy being with, and work that fulfills you? The grass was greener on the other side for us simply because it aligned with our values, our need to be closer to God's creation. Where can your grass be greener? I want to share this poem that filled my mind one evening last spring as I settled in for the night. The still quiet of the night, a flickering candle beckoning the soul to rest, songs of the spring peepers in the ponds, calling, seeking, closing down the demands of the day, to rest in the warm embrace of a loved one. Life brings wonderment, and an open mind calls to the divine, drawing me closer to the center of my soul. Remembering as I look into the eyes of my babes and kissing them goodnight, remembering what life is for. For life, for chasing dreams and catching them, for truly changing your stars. The blessed peacefulness of the night, the soft, haunting whisper of tall, ancient trees, and the end of a day blissfully lived, fulfillingly lived. God calls us to be responsible for, as well as delight in his creation. We are called to be gardeners, stewards of God's garden earth. Let's do that, however we can. Amen. Let us sing "This is God's Wondrous World" from Voices United 296.
This
Lord, of all being and source of every blessing, we thank you for all the good things, for life and love, for health and food, for work and home, for nature's beauty and comfort, for human skills and laughter, for memory and hope, for everything which gives us pleasure, nourishment, and strength. O God, whose voice we hear in the winds, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear us. We come before you as your children. We are small and weak. We need your strength and wisdom. Let us walk in beauty and make our eyes ever behold the red and purple sunset. Make our hands respect the things you have made, and our ears sharp to hear your voice. Make us wise so that we may understand the things you have taught your people, and let us learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. We seek strength, not to be superior to our brothers and sisters, but to live in harmony with ourselves and all your creation. Help us to be ever ready to come to you, so when life fades as the fading sunset, our spirits will come to you without shame. We bring to you, O God, our individual prayers in silence or spoken word. And we join together in the prayer that Jesus taught. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Music and laughter, hearts and minds, curiosity and compassion, what an abundance of gifts we have. All these gifts are symbolized in our offering. Let us commit ourselves in service as we worship God with our offering. Ever-present God, with this offering we present also ourselves, all that we have been and all that we are and all we shall become, and are resolved to walk in your way. Accept us and our offering, we pray for Jesus' sake. Amen. I want to take a moment to thank Bill for video today and Larry for sound, Greg for doing the PowerPoint and having to pay attention to what I'm saying. Thanks. For Willie and Yuki and your beautiful gifts of music and all of the choir, thank you all so much. We will now do Called by Earth and Sky, More Voices, 135. create. Go into the world to risk, explore, discover, and love. We go with the assurance of your grace, O God. Go into the world, believe, hope, struggle, and remember. We go with the assurance of your love.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your faces. May the rain fall soft on your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of His hand.
I wish you all a wonderful day.